Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing? Are we live? Are we good? Are we rock and rolling? Let me know, guys. Let me know. I think we are rock and rolling. Happy days. Hope you're good, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm on. Woo. Woo. On my lunch break. Hope you're all doing well, guys. Hope you're all doing well. Good afternoon, Mark. Yes. Good afternoon, everyone from the UK. It's not 3 a.m. in the morning for FP1. Yay! Oh, so good not having to get up at silly o'clock this morning. Don't have to do that till November now. How doing, Daisy, Anne? Doctor, Anthony, good to see you. Morning to you, yes, EST people, yes. Now, I hope everyone's doing well. So, moments away until we get FP1 underway at Bahrain, a circuit we are familiar with because we spent 3 days here back in February testing. So, yeah, let's see what this session has in store for us. Yes, there are 6 rookies. So the big news really is, guys, is that there are 6 rookies in this session being utilised. So, Charles Leclerc is not here. Dino Beganovic is in the car, which is why you can see BEG. Iwasa is in Max Verstappen's car. So an all-Japanese lineup for Red Bull in this FP1 session. Ryo Hirakawa, who is now Haas's reserve driver, he is now driving for Haas instead of... Who did he step in for? Alpine, wasn't he? He was an Alpine reserve driver because he did FP1 in Japan. Luke Browning, who you may be familiar with, F3, I think he's an F2 driver now, is in Carlos Sainz's car, and Vesti is also in the car for George Russell as well, and I believe that is it, yes. And if you're unfamiliar why that is, well, the teams have to give up 2, each car has to have a minimum of 2 rookie sessions given up throughout this season. I believe it is. I don't think it's a minimum of 1. I think it's each car a minimum 2. Is that right? So, yeah, they're using Bahrain to get rid of 1 because drivers are very familiar with this circuit. So, and F2 and F3 is here this weekend. So it makes sense for them. They're already in that mode. But here we go. 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green light it should be. Pit exit open. There we go. Pit exit open. Lovely jubbly. FP1 underway, guys. The weekend is underway. Hey, Tian. Good to see you all the way from South Africa. Good to see you. Everyone, I'm doing very well. Thank you for all asking how I'm doing. I'm doing very well. Yes, I do apologise. There was, once again, another no members stream last night. I had delays with trains. The little one was at the mother-in-law's, and yeah, I got caught up on the trains and stuff, and I was just too tired when I came in. So, but yes, what are my views on Ferrari's upgrades? I don't have any views on them, really, to be honest with you, because I don't know how they're going to work. But yes, if you're unaware, Ferrari have brought 4 major upgrades to the car. I can tell you exactly what those are. I know one of them is the floor, one of them is the rear diffuser. I think the third one is the rear wing beam, I think, as well. I did save it, the technical reg that is posted by the FIA. So let me see where that is. Or maybe I didn't. I thought I did. Ferrari upgrades. What's the other one? Oh, here we go. So, they have... Oh, 5, actually. 5 upgrades. They've... well... 3 main ones, actually, to be honest with you. So, yes, you have the floor fences have been done. Redistribution of fences, profiles, camber. Floor body, they've reshaped the front floor leading edge and tunnel expansion. The floor edge, extended floor front floor edge wing and reprofiling, diffuser, redesigned diffuser expansion, and then the rear wing pillar winglet updates. So yes, 3 updates to the floor there, 1 to the diffuser and 1 to the rear wing. So we'll see whether or not that will have the desired effect of improving much needed performance for Ferrari this weekend. Will the dirty air be strong here as previous races? No, it shouldn't be, hopefully. We do have, thankfully, 3 DRS zones here. Now, while the DRS zone in the middle isn't necessarily always that much of an overtaking opportunity, what we do have is the fact that we have a DRS zone from turn 3 to turn 4. That really makes racing a little bit more achievable. Because you can get up, the first DRS zone allows you to get really close, and then hopefully, as long as you've got the tyres, similar tyres, you should be able to close up that gap and, have an attack down into turn 4. So, when can you see that? Where can you see those upgrades, Core? You can see them just on. Where can you see them? If you just type in Ferrari upgrades on Twitter, that's what I did. You'll see people have posted a. You will see people have posted a link to it. I mean, I'll post this link here that I'll show. I'll post it in the chat for you all. So, afternoon, Andy. Hope you're well, mate. That's where I saw it. But it's an FIA document that people have just reposted. So any team that brings upgrades and makes changes to the car, the FIA issue this each week. So it may not just be Ferrari. I haven't seen any others. McLaren hypercar for 2027. I know, eh? Is Charles Leclerc car for driving for types condition, or is the car at risk for damage? What? Because of a rookie in it this morning? No, it should be fine. Should be fine. Hey, Miriam, good to see you. These upgrades on both cars are only on Lewis's. I think they're on both cars. I think they've been brought to both cars. I don't think they're just to Lewis's. Yeah, I think they've been brought to both cars. They've always aimed to do this. So, yeah. Morning, Foster. McLaren brought 1 upgrade front corner. Okay. What are my thoughts on McLaren entering the World Endurance Championship? I think it's brilliant. That top class in the World Endurance Championship, the hypercar class, is becoming stacked, isn't it? So many manufacturers in it. They just need to add more races, I think, now. They need to add more races rather than just the 6 that they've got in the season. And I think it will potentially become even more popular. And bring it back to Silverstone. I want to go to Silverstone again and watch the World Endurance Championship. So, upgrades on both, but only Lewis in this session for comparison. Yes, yeah. And as always, there's not really too much to take into consideration with FP1. So, in relation to tyres this weekend, guys, so tyres, Pirelli have brought the hardest compound tyre here this weekend. So, which I think has been the case in the past. Let me have a look here. So Bahrain, yeah, we have the C1, C2 and C3. So Bahrain has always been kind of really on the top end of the scale because of how abrasive the circuit is. So it means it's a very rough circuit. And yeah, there's a lot of wear on the actual tyres, not due to temperatures, but mainly due to the actual roughness of the circuit itself. So will that work? I don't know. We've seen some absolute great races and stonker races here in the past, but we've also seen some quite boring races. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I did make that video, TikTok, etc., which seemed to gain a bit of traction. We've had 4 races now, 4 pole position winners. 4 winners from pole position. Although they're 4 different winners, neither of them have had an overtake or at least been challenged after the first corner for the race win. So, as Ocon is reporting, the car is pulling a lot in a straight line, like left to right. Interesting. Got an hour before sleep for work. What's happening? Not much, Alan. It's only just started. 7 minutes into this session. We have 6 rookies out there. And yeah, teams are out there on the hard and medium compound tyre. So the soft compound tyre, Yeah, we'll see how many of them they save, really, to be honest with you. I think we'll see it used quite a bit. The teams are obviously gathering data on the hard and medium, which will be the... I think it was the tyre of choice. I can't remember what the strategy was last year. Does anyone remember what the strategy was for last year for Bahrain? McLaren WinFlex still a problem. Antonelli's got a problem, apparently. He's got an engine problem. Has he been able to start it again? Why is he saying Bortoletto's on wets, by the way? It's not raining in Bahrain, FYI, guys. Antonelli does have an engine issue, by the way. He's trudging his way back round to the pit lane. But there we go. I don't know what happened there. Bortoletto was briefly on wet compound tyres. Who is Vesti? Vest. There you go, I just said it. Frederick Vesti. He's a former F2 driver, has raced in Super Formula as well. He currently does most of his racing in like the LMP2 class, I think, in the World Endurance Championship, or an ELMS. So he's more sports car racing, but he's been on Mercedes books for years and has been the reserve driver for many a year. Not that he's the number one reserve driver now, because I think that's Valtteri Bottas. So. Hey, Lodi, good to see you. Iwasa is driving in place of Max today. He is indeed. Yes, so we have 6 rookies out there. Luke Browning, who is in replacement of Carlos Sainz. Vesti in replacement for Russell. Iwasa instead of Max Verstappen. We have Bogdanovic, who is in there in replacement of Charles Leclerc. We also have Hirakawa in replacement for Ollie Behrman. And is that 6? 1, 2, 3, 4... 5. Who's the 6th one? I swear there was a 6th one. Drogovic as well. Sorry, Drogovic. Felipe Drogovic is in there instead of Alonso. So, back to normal for Oz Jeremiah. Ironically for me, the day races for us just didn't feel right. I know, right? I mean, I'm so glad I didn't have to wake up at 3 a.m. this morning to do FP1. I'm not going to lie to you. It was very nice not feeling like I had to do that last night. Or set my alarm. Tsunoda will finish in the top 6 this weekend. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I don't know with Bahrain. I think McLaren arguably have never really been strong at Bahrain. But you do still expect them to be in the top 3. Max, we always know he can dig deep. Very different circuit here than it was at Suzuka. I think most are hoping that there's going to be more overtakes here. And I think we will see, hopefully, more overtakes here at Bahrain because of how many DRSs there are. But I don't know. It's very difficult to predict now. I mean, how are those tires? How are those upgrades going to work on Ferrari? What I have noticed is that the gap from Australia to each race, basically, each race weekend, the gap from Ferrari to McLaren to the winner, has got smaller and smaller. So hopefully these upgrades do put them on par with McLaren. What's the best quality time for last year in Bahrain? I will double check for you all, as Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have got things underway here. And Lando Norris 35.249 for him in the first sector. Track temperature is quite hot, by the way, guys. 47.5 degrees. Ooh, that is hot. That's considerably hotter than what we saw. I think we didn't see it get into the 30s once, did we, in testing? It was quite chilly in the ends, in testing. Formula 1. Right, here we go. Last year, let's have a look. Results. Archive. Takes me all the way back to 1950. Don't want to go as far back as that. So, Bahrain, pole position last time around was a 1:29.1 for Max Verstappen. So, on average, we have seen, of course, already at the start of this season, cars be over a second quicker. So, yeah. Still some way off. Still 6 seconds off at the moment. Am I taking a sickie from work today? No, I'm still at work, Anthony. I'm just working from home, and I'm currently on my lunch break. So, what is the best lap time in history? What, here? What, at Bahrain, or just in history? I mean, you can't say in history because there's different circuits that they race at, but I don't know what the track record is here. I think it was probably set last year, wasn't it? It was probably set here last year. Probably that, to be honest with you, 29.1. Why is it called free practice? Because they're free to do what they like in practice. Hamilton reporting the balance. Feels like the car is not working at all, but it's probably just the grip of the tyres. So, tyre warm-up. Tyre warm-up issues for the Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton. So, we'll see. Why no Max? Because the teams have to, and prove me if I'm wrong, I think it, and you know what, I'm gonna check this. I'm gonna check it so that I'm not making a tit out of myself. Rookie tests F1. In 2025, right, so in each car, the teams have to run at least a rookie in FP1 at least 2 times this season. So yes, because of that, and because Bahrain is a circuit that F3 and F2 race at, and because it's a circuit that teams have done a lot of testing at, and they can still gather necessary data from the drivers who aren't necessarily going to be on the same pace, of course, as the drivers they're stepping in for, but they're still able to get relevant data, and it makes sense rather than putting them in a test, putting them in a session that is at a track they never raced before. So, forecast for Sunday. Oh, good question. What is this? Let's have a look. Bahrain race circuits. I'm going to say dry, considering it's 35 degrees at the moment. Yes, bone dry. Sun, sun, sun across all 3 days. But of course, the race and qualifying is conducted in the evening, so track temperatures do cool a bit. So really, this isn't that much of a representative session. The representative session is FP2 this afternoon, because that is when we'll see probably some push laps in the evening, because that's when qualifying will be held as well at a similar time. I don't do that here in relation to how you bet. I'm not a betting channel, so it's... I'm sure there's plenty of betting platforms out there that can assist you, but not here, buddy. Yuki better improve or he'll be dropped. No, Yuki's in there to the end of the season. They've confirmed that. I think he'll be in there even if he has a horrid time because of the amount of money that Honda are putting forward for him. Liam Lawson reporting the balance is shocking as well. So lots of drivers out there reporting that the balance is shocking at the moment at Bahrain. As I say, brief yellow in Sector 8. Where was that? Sector 8? Was that just Vesti moving out of the way there to allow Hamilton and Hamilton through? They do throw yellow flags here very quickly if there's some lockups, as we saw in testing through Turn 8 and Turn 10. So if they run wide, the yellow flag's thrown instantly. Hopefully we see no buses out on track as well, guys. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just Google Bahrain bus testing. There was a bus on track as they set out there. So just tuning in the house of session. Yeah, a bit quiet at the moment, bit quiet. So we're some way off pole position of last year, 29.1. We'll probably creep towards that maybe towards the end of the session. We'll see if Lando and Piastri's doing some long runs. Is he doing some long runs at the moment? I mean, he came in for a front wing change, it seems. Hamilton is trying to bed in that car. Of course, new upgrades, as we've mentioned, on the Ferrari this weekend. Quite substantial upgrades to the floor, diffuser and rear wing. So they're trying to bed that car in. Of course, Charles Leclerc not taking part in this FP1 due to the rookie test. So Bogdanovic is in his place at the moment. But yeah, Yuki Tsunoda down there in 14th. Iwasa is in 19th there. So I think from memory, I mean, I don't think the Red Bull really set any fast lap times here in testing. But I just really don't know. I mean, the only kind of constant really we know at the moment is that Max can dig out a lap, that's for sure. If he gets clean air out in front, then there's always a possibility with the start of this season that whoever does start on pole can win. And it is possible to hold off faster cars behind you. So qualifying is very, very important. What happened to Kimi? Kimi Antonelli had a issue with his engine. It was, he had a power unit issue, so he came back into the pits. When Hamilton was in Mercedes was slow. Now he's in Ferrari. Ferrari is slow. Yeah, it's just pure coincidence. It's nothing to do with Lewis Hamilton. Like, I saw people trying to blame Lewis Hamilton for the Ferrari being slow right now or having similar issues to what the Mercedes had. You can't. It's been 3 races. Lewis Hamilton would not have had that influence over Ferrari's development in the off-season. He would not have had influence on the direction they decided to take the concept of their car this year, which has already raised a number of questions as to why they decided to completely, not a full redesign, but a major redesign of the car, the suspension and the floor and a number of different elements when they had a good platform last year to build on. Practice 2 is the only one that counts for this weekend. Yeah, it is kind of really the only one to really pay too much attention to because, as we mentioned, it's an evening session, which will be the same time that qualifying happens. How much will the higher temperature affect the race? So the higher temperatures won't affect the race too much. So we won't see track temperatures as what we'll see now in the race on Sunday. I'd be very surprised if we do because obviously the sun on the tarmac heats the track up. So we're seeing quite high track temperatures at the moment, 47.5. That will considerably drop, probably maybe minus 40 once the sun sets later on. That can have a big impact for sure. Yeah, because the tyres may struggle to warm up as quickly. The tyre deg as well, though it's not really temperatures you have to worry too much about here at Bahrain. It's more so the abrasiveness of the circuit, so the tyre sliding over the surface because of how abrasive it is. It cuts into the tyre more than the actual temperatures itself. Give Matt Stake F1, maybe that car is fast, we just don't know it yet. Do I think the McLarens will be suffering more if they get stuck in dirty air here in the evening than what they had suffered at Suzuka? Yeah, I think the difference is here compared to Suzuka is that we do have a lot more harder braking zones here. So generally at Suzuka, down into turn 1, you don't really have that much of a hard braking zone because of turn 1. I think, although the dirty air is definitely playing a factor, but turn 1, you're not got DRS and you've got massively hard on the brakes. You're braking as like you're into the corner, so you're already turning, so there's no kind of opportunity for that late lunge into turn 1, which is the main overtaking opportunity at Suzuka. Whereas here at Bahrain, we do have the 3 DRS zones, in particular the 2 DRS zones down the start-finish straight, down into the hard braking zone of turn 1, which will allow you to close up, and then, of course, you've got the DRS, consecutive DRS down into turn 4. So it should hopefully allow some more side-by-side action down into turn 4. Both of them are harder braking zones, and that's what you really need. Turn 11, maybe not so much, and it depends on whether the tyres fall off or not. I'm not sure, because Pirelli have brought again the hardest compound tyre here this weekend. I'm not sure if we'll see a 2-stop. I think it'll be a 1-stop, and that may leave us open to a similar scenario with what we saw at Suzuka, where people are just on the same tyre at the same time, and there's not an offset in tyre management. That's really what we need. And we need. I mean, Suzuka may have been a bit different, to be honest with you, if maybe McLaren had tried to be a bit more bold with their strategy and extend Lando, because we saw Kimi Antonelli be very quick towards the end. Not quick enough to catch George, but Lando probably would have had a sufficient... Lando probably would have maybe have had the pace at the end to catch Max if Piastri was told to move over for him. But yeah, it depends on the teams as well, being a bit more bolder with undercuts, overcuts and things like that. So... Lewis can't drive a fast car. Is the car bouncing as in Mercedes or drifting away again? No, Ferrari's car just hasn't been working in general. So they've been testing kind of setups again, differing setups. Apparently Charles Leclerc said he changed something in his setup on Suzuka particularly, which moved it further away from what Lewis used, and they found a bit more pace in the car due to that, whereas Lewis stuck with the base set. Well, I said a base setup, the setup they initially decided to settle in with. So yeah, they're not really, they're just been trying to unlock the performance, and I think it's more so just the development of the car and the route they decided to take. So they will most definitely be hoping. I do think these upgrades could be the make or break already for Ferrari's season, because if they feel like that these upgrades do not close the gap sufficiently to McLaren and to Red Bull, then and even Mercedes, really, they may just write this year off very quickly and just move all focus to 2026. And I really hope that's not the case, because we want to see a multiple championship battle. It's a very long season, but a team like Ferrari, I think, would call it quits in this season very quickly if these don't work. I think we can definitely expect more overtakes in the snooze fest than with Suzuka. I hope so. I mean, it can't be any less, can it? It can't be any less, surely. But some drivers were saying there's no way this is a one-stop. In the past, but we've seen Pirelli. So Pirelli have made differences now in relation to, well, I say differences. Pirelli have announced, although it's decided very early on by Pirelli, they have announced that they're bringing much softer compounds to Imola and Miami, which is good news for us because we saw those tracks become quite boring in relation to overtake, nothing in relation to tyre strategy. I mentioned this in my video. Those who want to see drivers go 100% full out all the time, you'll actually have more boring races than you will good ones. The tyre offset and the tyre degradation and having to look after your tyres actually makes for good racing and makes for good battles. If we remove that, especially at the end of a regulation set where the performance is so close, then yeah, you don't get that help. Oh, why has Lance Stroll just disappeared there? I mean, he disappeared at Suzuka, but you enjoyed the Japanese Grand Prix. Well, I'm glad you did, David. I'm glad you did. Yuki, fastest in the first sector, but very slow in the second sector, a 45.5. What happened to Yuki there? Did he get caught up by Lawson, or did he just have an issue? I think he got caught up by Lawson. Bahrain is not a track to bring harder tyres to. That'll be boring as hell. Well, we'll see. Where are the main drivers? Well, the main drivers, they're not here at the moment. They are on the pit wall. Hey, Connor, Ferrari just drive itself off circuit with the understeer, but might just be hard tyres. Yeah, Lewis did say the car feels terribly unbalanced, but it might just be the tyres. So, yeah, trying to get it into a window at the moment. Pirelli has done a terrible job for years. I agree. Yeah, Glee, I agree. I mean, they have a tough job. Of course they do. But it's not like they're rookies. They've been doing this for over a decade, and they've got it. They've got their tyre selections and how they've constructed their tyres wrong more often than they have right. But then I kind of guess at the same point, maybe it's a bit of a poison chalice. Because what happens in F1 affects negatively their real world sales. However, someone did comment, someone who tunes into these watch-alongs, that he is a mechanic himself and fits tyres. And he says, I wouldn't even put Pirelli as in my top 5 for tyre manufacturers for road tyres. So if they can't make decent road tyres, what faith is there that they can make decent race tyres? So where is Leclerc? Leclerc is resting up. So if you're just tuning in, FP1 has 6 rookies in here today, guys. So yes, I'm going to repeat this one last time. I will put a pinned message. That basically we have Charles Leclerc out for Bogdanovic in the Ferrari. Drogovic is in instead of Alonso. Iwasa is in for Max Verstappen. Vesti is in for George Russell. We have Hirakawa, the new Haas reserve driver, although he did drive for Alpine last time out in FP1 in Suzuka, is in place of Ollie Behrman. We also have, who else did I mention was here? Luke Brown in instead of Carlos Sainz for Williams. And I think that is it at the moment. So yes, if you're unfamiliar, at least each car, at least twice per season now, has to give up their seat for a rookie. Yuki Tsunoda, the throttle is not reacting quite well. It's still very lazy somehow. It's got a lazy throttle. How do I think the McLarens will do? I think the McLarens are the only consistent at the moment. I think we can expect the McLarens to turn up each weekend. But the only question is whether or not they can make use of that advantage right now, as Isaac Hadjar locked up into the last corner. So, hard compound tyres, guys. All drivers are very struggling to switch them on. And we have seen this here in the past. A couple of years ago, I think it was maybe even the first year of these regs, lock up as well for Lando Norris on the front left on the medium. So I think the teams are struggling they're struggling to heat the tyres up, you know. That's interesting. Hey, Mike, good to see you. I am the best. Thank you. Thank you. Who is my favourite F1 driver? I've always been very open with that. It's Lewis Hamilton is my favourite driver. I support the Brits, primarily. There's other drivers I have a soft spot for, and others less so. But ultimately, here on this watch-along, we want to see good racing. And that's what I'm hoping we get here this weekend in Bahrain. So, Rust, I've answered your question. Please stop that. You've been putting a timeout. It might be a hot take, but I don't think Lando has the mentality to win the World Drivers' Championship. Oscar has that, and McLaren should have at least tried to see if Oscar would follow through in Suzuka. I disagree that they should have swapped positions. I think if they swap positions and Piastri then doesn't give the position back to Norris, or if Piastri does get past Lando. Basically, if Lando finish, so this is the reason why I think. One, I don't think Piastri would have got past him anyway because he needed at least eight tenths advantage to get past Verstappen, which neither McLaren had. The DRS was helping Piastri get close to Lando. In addition, if they swapped those positions round, Lando would have lost the World Drivers' Championship lead, and he would have gone behind Max Verstappen. And the McLarens would be second and third in the Drivers' Championship rather than first and third right now. So it was also the fact of not just about the race win, it was also about gathering points for the constructors and maintaining the lead in the championship standings for the Drivers' Championship. So even if Oscar won that race, Oscar would still be behind Lando, and Lando would end up behind Max Verstappen. So, wonder if blistering happens with the heat on Sunday, but not seen that happen for a while. No, we saw a bit of blistering funny enough, we saw blistering in practice sessions in Suzuka, but we didn't see it in the race, I don't believe. So, is the Bahrain circuit overtakeable? Marius, it should be. Yes, it should be. It's much more overtakeable than what we had at Suzuka. So... And also, I will admit, the track here has not had any resurfacing. So at China, we had resurfacing, which made the tyres just last forever. We had Sector 1 at Suzuka. That was resurfaced, and that's where a lot of the energy, of course, with the Senna S's, Turn 1, Turn 2, is put through the tyres and helps with the degradation. We didn't see that, so that enhanced the tyre life. And tyre usage at Suzuka as well. So, yeah, Bahrain, we don't have any of that. So, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Overtakeable is a great word, it is. Stuffey, I know it's early, but who do I fancy for the World Drivers' Championship this year? I'm still backing Lando. Lando is my prediction. I still think Lando will see it through. Yeah, I do. No, I'm not repeating in relation to where's Leclerc and where's Norris. Norris just can't be nice anymore. Oh, hang on, where are I? Norris just can't be nice anymore. If he didn't listen to the team, he arguably would have had a better chance to win the Drivers' Championship last year. Yeah, and I think we have seen that from him. I think we have seen that bite from Lando in the way that he's been answering questions, the way that he's been replying back to his engineer. I mean, let's be honest. I feel like his engineer is a bit... I don't have much faith in Lando's engineer. Do you guys? He gives way too much information. He seems to be a bit. He's not very assertive, and just kind of says stupid things. I feel like on the radio. I guess I'm a McLaren supporter. I wouldn't say I'm a staunch supporter of any team, to be honest with you. Growing up, I was a McLaren supporter, but primarily because Mika Hakkinen was my favourite driver growing up. And then Lewis Hamilton as well. But, yeah, I don't... I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really care too much about the constructors. I don't really care who wins it. For me, I care about the drivers and who wins the Drivers' Championship. That's my preference. And that's what I watch racing for and F1 for and stuff. So I feel like different series, maybe like the World Endurance Championship and things like that, you're focusing maybe more on the manufacturer than you are the drivers, but I feel like most people root for teams because of drivers, not necessarily, and because they become affiliated with a team and the driver. Not so much that, yeah, that's just my personal opinion, so, or viewpoint. McLaren are fastest. Yeah, I feel Lando is going to have too much competition for the car, which is the fastest in the grid, because he mostly cracks under pressure. Still love him, though. Yeah, so Odyssey, yeah, I'll go back to my point. I don't think I really even made that point. But yes, ultimately, McLarens have the fastest car right now. And that's the key thing, right now. And they are not capitalising on having that pace advantage. That should have been the easiest 1-2 in the world last time around at Suzuka. And this is not to take anything away from Max Verstappen, because Max Verstappen once again pulled out a great lap and a great race, and he did everything that was needed of him, and he got everything out of that Red Bull. That it's looked the most comfortable in any session I've seen in Max's hands, that Red Bull. However, Lando ballsed up his first quali lap in Q3, which meant he wasn't going to be on the exact limit come his second lap. Whether he consciously thinks that or not, subconsciously, he won't be going 110% on that lap, because he knows he hasn't got that banker. That banker lap was only good enough for P4, P5, which isn't good enough for Suzuka. Oscar Piastri was 2.5 temps down in the first sector. Made a mistake, clawed it back with 2 purple sectors in the second and third. But Max didn't have a purple sector in Q3. And the McLarens just aren't getting the most out of their car, whereas Max is, and that's the difference. And wait until that Red Bull is on the pace in the McLarens. Max will be easily out-qualifying them, and easily, even more so, outperforming them, because that is what Max does, and that's what the McLaren boys aren't doing at the moment. And that is what could be massively influential, will be massively influential to the championship. So the stakes are P1 and P2. Stop the count. Stop the count. Not everyone. Most drivers coming out on soft compound tyres now, though. But yes, lap time wise, guys, not too much to look into here, because this is an unrepresentative session. The most representative session is going to be FP2, which is in a few hours' time. Who's in for Fernando? Felipe Drogovic. Will last year's quali lap be overtaken, Arnold? Yeah, it should be. On average, we've seen the cars be over 1.2 seconds quicker per lap, per quali lap at the moment. So I expect the same here as well. I can see quite a few reserves for FP1 today. Is it mainly because pre-season testing happens in Bahrain? Does it often happen in previous seasons as well? Yes, so Bahrain is a good circuit for it to happen at, because it also has F3 and F2 participating here this weekend. So it helps with some drivers and their prep for the junior races. Also, the drivers are familiar with this circuit. It makes no sense to put rookies in at a track which they've never raced before, because you still want to gather data for this session for the weekends. These rookies aren't just going out there, and yes, they are to an extent ticking a box, because the teams are mandatory, have to do this, is a mandatory rule, but they're still going out there and gathering important data for the teams for this weekend. So yeah, you want to do that at a circuit they're familiar at, so that they can give relative feedback and good feedback, rather than at a circuit they haven't before and they don't know where they're going and can't extract the pace out of the car, you know? Is Lando going to quit Formula 1? No. Why would Lando quit Formula 1? Lando will be in F1 for many a year, I think. Yeah, well, you say that about Ferrari upgrades being good. Yeah, they do have 3 major upgrades here this weekend. Multiple upgrades to the floor itself. One to the diffuser and one to the rear wing. So we'll see if they work. At the moment, Lewis Hamilton is just doing laps on the hard compound tyre. It did seem that we've struggled to see drivers get temperature into the tyres early on. Oh, wow. Kimi Antonelli's rear wing is stuck. They can't get the rear wing off of his car. And there's literally just 3 mechanics doing that on the back of the car. Oh, that's quite comical, to be honest with you. Peak engineering. This is the peak of motorsport engineering right here, guys. Top qualifiers will go for a one-stop race. Yeah, potentially, Keith. Yeah, I mean, it all depends really how the hard compound tyre works here. We have seen the hard compound not switch on here in the past, with just it taking too long to come up to temperature, and you lose too much time. But it may be a case for actually no, once it comes up to temperature, it is a good tyre, but it depends on how much time you lose in that initial first stage. So there's a few variables to take in consideration on the tyres this weekend, but yeah, I don't know. I am more hopeful because we do not have any resurfaced areas out at Bahrain, and it is a track where we have seen overtaking be possible in the past. So, what are my thoughts about George Russell? Is he capable of winning the chip or not yet? I think he is, you know. I think he's quietly going about his business. I mean, he finished, 2 podiums. He's had 2 podiums, a P5. Arguably should have qualified better in Suzuka. They made a setup change and he struggled to get the tyres into the correct window. I think George could have been easily on the front row last weekend, to be honest with you. He's snuck a couple of decent performances in quali late on, isn't he, in the past few weeks. But Suzuka, yeah, was one which, unfortunately, quali didn't... they made that change in Q3, even though he looked quite strong, and it cost him. But yeah, no, George is quietly picking up the points, and it could be that sort of championship this year. I mean, at the moment, we still haven't seen the McLarens tangle. Hopefully we will. We want them to go side by side at some point. And then will they come through unscathed? I don't know. But did you hear about the debut of C6 in Italy? Yes, Imola is going to have the C6 tyre, a hypersoft tyre technically. I'm very excited for it, Arnold. Because Imola needs it. Because it's a track where we don't see overtaking at all. So we need something in relation to strategy to make it more interesting for us, that's for sure. Are Lewis's chances of an 8th over? I don't have much faith for this year. No, I think ultimately it will depend on the new cars, whether or not he has a competitive car or not. I think Lewis in general has struggled with this set of cars, this regulation set. The fact of that they have been more laboured through the corners, they're heavier. The way that it doesn't help that he's started this regulation set with a car that was shocking in the W13. But in general, I think, yeah, Lewis has always been on the back foot with these type of cars. He prefers much more lighter, nimbler cars, which is what obviously he's grown up with in F1. So, yeah, 2026 may be better for Lewis, but he still shows that he's still got it. But, yeah, Ferrari, big weekend for them with these upgrades. Big weekends. Max won't allow those 2 McLarens to tangle by themselves. He'll squeeze into that confrontation whether they like it or not. Well, if he's clever, he might just sit back and watch them fight out, you know? But I think Albon is doing one of the best jobs out there considering Williams' previous records. Albon has started this year unbelievably well. Unbelievably well, yeah. I think, myself included, as many others have, thought that he was going to struggle compared to Sainz. I did a video on it and said it's make or break year for him. He either rises to the occasion and rises to the pressure of having a strong teammate for the first time in his Williams career in Carlos Sainz, or he folds. And, well, at the moment, he's definitely risen to that pressure, and he is stating his claim as the leader of the team. Now, Sainz is unsurprisingly off the pace and needs to become accustomed to that car. It's taken him a little bit more time than we thought, which is a bit... Albon released, as we're talking about Albon, he was released straight into the path of Yuki Tsunoda in the pit lane. So that's why that incident is being investigated there. But yeah, I think going back to Sainz, yeah, he said himself, he stated, look, coming from Ferrari, if you expected me to be on the pace straight away after 3 races, I don't know what you expected. But I think we all expected better Sainz, to be honest with you. So yeah, a lot of work, lots of work for him to do. Anyone seen Lewis's new haircut? He's just undone his braids. He's always had that hair. It's just always been nice and tidy. Thank you for the subs, by the way, guys. Much appreciated. If you can continue to hit that like and subscribe button, yes, we'll be back in a few hours' time as well for FP2. Getting ahead of myself there. FP2 and FP3 tomorrow, and of course qualifying and the race on Sunday. Right in the middle of a triple header here. We had Suzuka last time around at Japan. This time we've got Bahrain. Next time around, we head to Saudi. You've heard someone say that it doesn't feel right to have Lando win the World Drivers' Championship before Leclerc, and you agree, to be honest. I disagree. That's totally your opinion and your feelings, but Lando has been in the sport. I mean, actually, has Lando been... When did Lando join F1? I get this confused. When did Lando join F1? Lando Norris joined F1 in 2019. And Charles Leclerc? Where was Charles Leclerc? ...2018, a year before. Okay, a year before. Okay, a year before. Because he raced for Haas, didn't he? No, Alfa Romeo, sorry, for a season, didn't he? Or a couple of seasons. I disagree, to be honest with you. I think Lando gets a lot of unnecessary hate. I don't know why he gets so much hate online. I mean, I don't pay too much attention to F1 Twitter and so forth, because I think a lot of it is just absolute garbage. But, yeah. He deserves it. If he wins it, he deserves it. So, simple as. How long will we have to see Lance Stroll in that car? I'm tired that he doesn't even feel emotional damage in order to at least perform once, for God's sake. I mean, he's at least there for another season. He's at least, I mean, it doesn't bode well. Lawrence Stroll, his dad, just bought a further investment into Aston Martin, the actual car company, so that he can redirect more funds towards the F1 team, I believe it is. So people were maybe assuming that he was looking to pull out of his investment in Aston Martin, but that's the complete opposite on that basis. He's increasing his investment. So yeah, Lance Stroll was going to be there for a few years, that's for sure. Lance Stroll will leave whether or not... The only way Stroll leaves is if he leaves of his own accord. He's never going to be sacked. Just as simple as that. So... If Leclerc's team didn't keep shafting him with team strategies and mid-R cars, he could be fighting the McLarens and Max Verstappen. Yeah, but that's always some buts, isn't it? That's the same with most teams and drivers. If you had the car, if you gave him the car, welcome to F1. You wish Charles would at least fight for championship, because I feel he should at least get the chance, but Ferrari always bottles. Yeah, I mean, well, Ferrari haven't fought for a Drivers' World Championship since... Kimi Raikkonen? No. I'll take that back. Sebastian Vettel, probably. That's going way too far back there. Sebastian Vettel, probably 2017. But then they were doing some naughty things with their fuel flow, wasn't they? Afternoon, Mike. Good to see you, mate. Welcome. Albon's now being investigated for... Is that Albon investigated for... Oh, no. The two Williams drivers. Turn 13 incident involving cars Albon and Browning. Oh, dear. DDD, sorry, but I help... how can Lewis be past his peak? He's only 5 behind Charles and won a sprint race. This shows if they can get the ride height right, they can win like Max can. Yeah, I don't think... Lewis is past his peak. I don't think that's a controversial statement. Lewis is 40 years old. He's not 30, where he should, or like 27, 28, where he should be at his peak. He's 40 years old. It's a testament to sports science and to his drive and fitness and so forth that him and Alonso are both still racing. But peak performance, him and Alonso are definitely past it. Anyone in their late 30s is. Oh dear, my God. I just watched the two Williams cars nearly collide there. Holy moly. That was not very good. Sheesh. Fliko Drogovic saying that was close. However, he is still capable of winning races. He still has his mojo. And yeah, I think if you give him a championship winning car consistently, he'll do that. He'll be up there. So, same as maybe Alonso even. If Alonso was given a championship winning car, I think he would still be up there. So, you haven't exactly followed the mechanisms, but what changed which made McLaren fastest on the grid? I mean, they were struggling a few years back. Good question, to be honest with you. And I don't really remember off the top of my head. They just made advancements in all areas. Their suspension, their floor, Of course, they use the Mercedes power unit, which has always been a decent power unit in these regs. Yeah, they've just... I can't tell you, to be honest with you. I think it does help that the Red Bull was probably hampered. I still believe that they had a certain device removed which hampered them. But yeah, I'm not complaining because it made the battles a lot better last season. So as someone in their late 30s, I feel personally attacked. Sorry, Mike. Max and Yuki to Aston Martin Honda in the future. Yes, it is. There's been some interesting information actually about Honda. Honda now supposedly are going to have an influential factor on who is in their seats, who is in the race car. Now, let's be honest, it's not going to be Lance Stroll who's removed from that race car, but the second seat, if you remember, Fernando Alonso does not have a good relationship with Honda. GP2 engine springs to mind. So they will probably be looking to put Yuki into that second seat. Or someone else entirely, maybe. If Yuki remains at Red Bull and Red Bull actually want to keep Yuki, we'll see. Alonso's older, but never say a thing about that. I think Alonso's definitely past his peak. He's 44 years old, man. 43 years old. Of course he's past his peak. So, I heard that Merck was extending Lewis's contract for just a year, so probably retiring would have been the only option with him in 26. Yeah, it wasn't just that. Yeah, he wanted a 2+2 year deal. They were only willing to offer him 1+1 year. They also removed any sort of backing for him to be an ambassador as well. His ambassadorial role at Mercedes and supporting his off-track ventures, which Ferrari said, yep, we'll do. So, yeah, there was, I think a lot of it was the fact that there was a change in ownership at Mercedes. Sorry, not ownership, leadership. The long-time CEO who had been there for like 30 years was left. Then there's like a new vision for Mercedes and so forth, and they didn't want to back him because ultimately, while Toto Wolff is still kind of runs and owns a majority of that, or is part owner of the F1 team, it's still the Mercedes brand. So. What was the McLaren flexi-wing situation? There are many channels saying random stuff like about Jos Verstappen and all. So all it is that someone on Twitter, again, thinking they're an absolute star and thinking they're trying to... Yeah. So basically, he pointed out the rear wing was still flexing. Which everyone knows it's still flexing. Everyone knows it's still flexing. And he like, this page... posted it on his Twitter page. Jos Verstappen retweeted it, and then people are going, well, no doubt the FIA should investigate this, but the FIA have made their tests more stringent. So if it passed the tests and McLaren are still passing the tests, then there's either something wrong with the FIA or McLaren are just super duper clever and the other teams need to rectify it or replicate it. But the flexi wing, there is a really big technical... I still don't know the details of it. But there is a really big technical directive being implemented for Race 9 where it's almost like banning flexi wings. So, hey Chris, best F1 channel on YouTube. Thank you, buddy. Hope you're doing well in Birmingham. Hope your bins get collected soon as well. Tsunoda will have a much better race than Suzuka. Yeah, I mean, he's gone okay here at Bahrain in the past, Tsunoda. I mean, he's gone quite well here in the past. I take that back. Yeah, he had a good... He scored points here, didn't he, on his first ever outing in F1. So, yeah, this is a good track for Tsunoda. He's done well here in the past, so... Sometimes I still have... Oh, I know, Marianne, age is just a number. I know. But if you were to say when you was in your peak, though, you would probably say it was at some point around late 20s to early 30s. For most sportsmen, you know. Lando is a freaking good driver. Your opinion, Piastri is better, faster. Even Lando said that more or less a few years ago. Well, you say that, Alan. The championship standings state otherwise. And he's comprehensively beaten Piastri the last 2 seasons, Lando. So it's still, proof is still in the pudding that Lando is, on paper at least, a better driver than Piastri. Although Piastri is improving. And do you know what? I do think as well, and I will take back a bit of a comment I said about Piastri, that he's improved on his tyre management. I still think we're still yet to have proof that Piastri's done better on his tyre management, because China, we didn't really see a lot of tyre degradation at all because of the resurface area. We didn't see that in Suzuka either. This may be a different test for him. We're still yet to go to some racetracks where tyre deg has really been an issue. And that's... I praised Piastri for it last time out in China. But then when I actually look back at it, there wasn't a lot of tyre deg at all. But he has improved, Piastri. But there's still more for me, for him to prove that he's better than Lando Norris. What happened with the Bottas McLaren test? So Bottas supposedly seems to be... So as is the case with some drivers, they're reserve drivers for multiple teams. So that was the case with Ollie Behrman in Haas and Ferrari. And it seems to be the case with McLaren and Mercedes. So they both use Mercedes power units. So you ideally want a driver who's familiar with the engine. So I'm not sure if Bottas is the reserve driver for Williams as well. I could be wrong there. But yeah, you want a driver who's familiar with the power unit, because it is very different than if you're going to like Ferrari. As Lewis has said, I'm getting used to the power unit. Sainz is the same as well, getting used to the Mercedes unit. So yeah. Why Ferrari slow? Lewis has only just gone out there and started to do a lap. So 29.69 for him in the first sector, Lewis, which is 7th fastest. But yeah, the teams are just... I mean, it's not a representative session, guys. I wouldn't pay too much attention to lap times here at the moment. This afternoon, in a couple of hours' time, that most definitely you want to pay attention to, because that is an evening session, and that is when qualifying will occur. That's when the race will occur. Whereas FP1 and FP3 aren't representative because it's like mid-afternoon. Track is a lot hotter. You can see there, 46 degrees. It's already cooled a degree or so since the session started, and that'll decrease even further by the time we end FP2. Do I think after Barcelona's front wing changes will hamper McLaren and the RB21? Well, supposedly, Christian Horner, as Hamilton does go 3rd fastest, but 6 tenths off of Norris. Supposedly, Christian Horner has been quite bullish on the fact of the Red Bull is really going to... he's claiming it's almost a regulation change, a full regulation change at like the 3rd midway point in the season or whatever, before the midway point of the season. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. Maybe he's overstating the impact that it will have on McLaren and on Red Bull. But it could do. But we'll see. We will see. I generally don't know. McLaren have stated that the changes won't affect them. Maybe that's true. But only time will tell. Will McLaren have a better chance? Most of the track is very straight. Yeah, McLaren should be fighting this out for pole position again, in my opinion. I think that's the easy constant at the moment, is that we know in McLaren is the clear fastest. But over a single lap, they can be challenged. And if you can get out in front of them, it's not easy for them to overtake. So we saw in the sprint race where Lando was P8, P7 or whatever it was. He made that error, fell back at a few positions. It took him the whole sprint race to make up 2 more positions, I think it was. No, sorry, not 2. Yeah, did he finish 7th or 8th? I can't remember. But he dropped a few positions, and it took him the whole sprint race to then recover those 2 places. Or a few positions to score like a single point. Whereas everyone expected Norris to just clear through the field. There isn't that advantage in the clean air. Well, sorry, there's only that advantage in the clean air, it seems. In the dirty air, it's a lot more difficult to overtake without a tyre offset, as we saw in Suzuka as well. 2019-2020 Red Bull strategy and pit crew team were great. The Red Bull pit crew team and strategy team have been... I still think 2022... I think 2022 and 2023 is arguably one of the all-round top team performances you'll see in sport. For the engineering side of things, for the fact that the driver of Max, even Sergio Perez was doing a good enough job in 22 and 23. And then you have the fact that they never made a mistake on strategy. They never made a mistake. I mean, they were still popping in like 2 seconds pit stop times. But it was unbelievable. There was no opportunity to capitalise on any mistakes by Red Bull because they just didn't make any. Who's replaced Verstappen today? Iwasa. There's six rookies out there at the moment. That Flow Viz is dreadful stuff. I know. It doesn't look good, does it? Makes it look like a steak F1 car. Who should you choose for your fantasy league, Yogu? Or I would hold fire. So, yes, if you are thinking about your fantasy league, as I am as well, I'm doing quite well this season. I'm actually paying attention to it. I normally forget after the first week. You can make changes up until qualifying. So you can watch all practice sessions and then make an informed choice based upon the practice sessions. So, Kimi Antonelli had an engine issue very early on, and they've struggled to remove the rear wing of the car. I kid you not, it was quite comical. 3 engineers trying to bounce up and down on the wing to try and wriggle it off. Yeah, they were struggling to basically get access to their engine. So, something wrong with that Mercedes. So not a good start for Antonelli, missing out on this session. But hopefully they'll be able to fix it in a few hours' time for FP2, which is a representative one. Do I watch the World Endurance Championship? I keep an eye on it. I wouldn't say I watch it, but I keep an eye on it, yeah. Oh, right. Not long left, guys. Not long left. But yeah, hope you guys have been enjoying it. Thanks for all the explanations I saw from Donna there. Thank you. Yeah, FP1 is just an opportunity for us to just sit back, chill, relax, you know. I'm sure some of you have me on in the background while you're working. I mean, I'll be going straight back to work after this. But yeah. What do you think needs to be improved to make the RB21 more better for Max? Ooh, well, as he said, it needs to be faster in the straights. It needs to be faster in the straights. It needs to be more balanced in the corners, and it needs to be better on its tyres. Basically everything. So I don't subscribe to the idea now that the Red Bull is actually the full fastest car. I think the Red Bull is the second fastest car, but it has a very, very narrow window of performance. And we saw at Suzuka them hit that very narrow window of performance. He was struggling to find it all weekend, but when it came to qualifying, he found it. I do think, and I still stand by this, and I'm surprised no one's made mention of it, I still think that maybe the cooler temperatures helped maybe the Red Bull, because the track cooled in considerably from the start of Q1 to Q4, end of Q3, and then the track temperatures were their temperatures were very similar to Q3 in the race as well. And we saw Max do very well, of course, in the race and not ever be challenged. So I think, that Red Bull is still, as we know, it's a very quick car, but it's super difficult to drive. But it has such a small, narrow window that only Max can get it out of it. But you look at the onboards of Max through that race and through the quali lap that he set, the car was planted. There was very, very few corrections that Max had to make. And it's a world apart from what we saw in China and in Australia. Hamilton's always fast in practice races, but slow in the actual race. Well, I wouldn't say he's been quick here. 6 tenths off of Norris, as that session has now come to an end, guys. I wouldn't pay too much attention to these times. I mean, we'll run through them anyway. But yeah, drivers just trying to set up the car, of course, for the weekends. There's been rookies here as well. It's an unrepresentative session. That's going to be FP2, so be sure to come back and tune in for that. You can hop over to the live stream there that is set up and ready to rock and roll in a few hours' time. As always, turn your notifications on. But yeah, Lando Norris tops the timing sheets with a 33.2. McLaren looking strong once again. The fastest quali lap we saw last year was a 29.1. So just an FYI, we're still quite a few seconds off of that. Gasly in P2, Hamilton P3, Albon P4, Ocon 5th, Hulkenberg in 6th. That's why you don't pay too much attention to practice times sometime. Doohan in 7th, Lawson in 8th, Tsunoda 9th, Piastri 10th, Bortoletto 11th, Hadjar 12th, Luke Browning, one of the rookies, in P13, Bogdanovic in the Ferrari for Charles Leclerc in P14, Lance Stroll 15th, Felipe Djokovic in for Fernando Alonso in 16th, Rio Hirakawa in for Ollie Behrman in 17th, Frederick Vesti in there for George Russell in 18th, Iwasa in for Max Verstappen in 19th, and Kimi Antonelli, who had an engine issue in the first couple of laps of this practice session, didn't have any further running in 20th. So that is it, guys, pretty much. I'll be back for FP2. Of course I will, DTR. I will send the link here now for the next session. You can go wait over there for that. So in the meantime, hit that like and subscribe button. As always, guys, it helps support the channel. We're pushing for 40k. Can we hit 40,000 subscribers this weekend? Surely we can. Surely we can. Right, let me just hit. Let's just find the link for you guys. But yeah, FP2 is going to be more representative. That's the one we're going to be keeping an eye on for sure. That is the one we're going to be heading over to for sure. There you go. Just a normal F1 TV subscription, I think, is suitable. Actually, I don't know now. They've got premium and so forth, haven't they? Maybe the premium one. I think because you get multiple... I think premium because you get multiple different views now. They've basically locked their normal subscription from last year behind a higher paying service, and they've split it in two. So that's, yeah... A shame, a shame. Best channel you found today? Oh, honestly, you wait until you hear the commentary for qualifying and the race on Sunday. Anyone here, I think, will testify to that. So yeah, free practice sessions are just an opportunity for us to just have a bit of back and forth. They're a bit more chilled, and then yeah, we'll have qualifying tomorrow and the race on Sunday where we get into commentary mode. Never underestimate Hamilton. No. I agree, Red Bull is the second fastest car. Mercedes on warmer conditions. We'll see. Thanks until FP2. No worries, Marianne. Good to see you. Do I think Max will dominate like 2023 if the Red Bull gets a massive upgrade? Will he dominate? Maybe. Depends if he got a pace advantage or not. If he's got a level playing field with McLaren, I don't think he'll dominate. But I think if he gets an advantage in pace, then yes, because he arguably gets the most out of his car than the McLarens have thus far. So, did you miss anything? No, you didn't miss anything. We need Lewis in the podium to get his morale higher. Well, yeah, we'll see if those upgrades are upgrades. They're not upgrades until they work. We'll see if those Ferrari updates work in this afternoon session or if they're any better. We did see multiple drivers struggle to get the hard tyre into a good temperature window. They were struggling to heat that up, and we saw quite a few lockups. So, yeah, Lewis was also complaining about the tyre temps there as well. So, yeah, we'll see. When does the stream start tomorrow? I'll be live in a few hours' time for FP2. But yeah, you can see FP3 is set up already. I'll be setting qualifying up a bit later on. But yes, you can just head over to my live tab now and it will have the streams that are already set up. Easiest thing is to just set up, click the notification bell, guys, on the channel. You'll be notified 30 minutes before I go live. And that's kind of the easiest way. So it's a nice little reminder of when we'll be going live. Do I finish his last season, Max, to Red Bull? No, he'll be in Red Bull to 2026. I don't think anyone's moving. The only possible change there may be, the only possible change is Max to Mercedes, because George does not have a contract wrapped up for 2026. So, maybe, but I don't know. We'll see. I do suspect Max will be there for 2026. If the car is nowhere, then yes, he might be looking elsewhere. So yeah, just an interesting one to keep an eye on, that George does not have a contract for 2026. So we'll see. No, practice is just finished, but we'll be back in a few hours' time for FP2. Right, that's it for me, guys. My lunch is now over and done with. I've probably run slightly over, but don't tell anyone. Shh. We'll be back in a few hours' time for FP2, which is a lot more relative and representative because of as we're heading into the evening session. It's at the same time as what qualifying will be and the race on Sunday as well. So that's one we truly want to tune in for, and I'll highly recommend you do too. Thanks as always. I'll see you in a few hours. Bye.